I'm very much attracted to power. So imagine my dismay when I come to find my so-called tough ass, fourth degree black belt girlfriend is nothing but a skeevy weenie. I didn't notice it at first because I was so blinded by the idea of her that I didn't bother to look past the surface. I had a tattoo shop at the time, and I could never get her to hang out and converse with me or the guests while I was working. I couldn't figure out why. But it turns out she's hemophobic, and getting a paper cut was too much for her delicate little heart to handle. And yes, she did have a tattoo. She was raised in wealth, every whim tended to, and never learned basic life skills like how to clean up after herself or do laundry. Her name brand, super expensive underwear had streaks of all sorts. The bathrooms at her parents' house were horrifying. I couldn't service her at my leisure because no matter what I did to help, the smells just did not improve. I remember having surgery and needing help tending to my wounds. This woman would gag and look away. I ended up having to care for myself, same as everything else in our relationship. I'd try to give her a pedicure or file her nails, and she would have these meltdowns insisting that she only wanted pedis from professionals because she couldn't handle the slightest discomfort. It was such a turnoff seeing the person who claimed to be my protector squeal and run at the sight of a tweezer. I had another one who squirted, and I hated that shit. The way she stunk up a room every time we had sex and her sweat smelled like an old lady was so disgusting to me. One time we tried to have sex after a workout and her pussy had froth on it like a horse. I don't think I ever looked at her the same after that. Anyway, she was another one. Tough on paper, weak as fuck in real life. This one, though, this one had SWAT training, owned firearms, and was the absolute softest, most pussiest person I have ever had the displeasure of meeting. She would drink, flirt with everybody's bitch, then get super confrontational. When they would either stand their ground or squarely beat her ass, she would pull out the badge and play victim, because we all know that bullies like this end up in law enforcement. And since she can't fight worth a damn, she has an entire army of lackeys behind her that she's collected throughout the years, backing her every move and blindly fighting her battles for her so she needn't lift a finger. I've always been the type to nip things in the bud when I see something I don't like, but I have 100% fallen for the bullshit every single time. There's this part of me that cannot believe that someone I'm interested in likes me that much. I'm so flattered and flustered by the love bombing that I ended up staying. My relationship with that cop was one of the most traumatic experiences of my life, but taught me how to identify narcissistic behaviors and spot frauds at a single glance. Now I'm able to decipher my instincts and intuitions, but by far my favorite trait has been the development of my emotional intelligence. My ability to control my reactions and stabilize my emotions was something I never thought I'd have a handle on, and honestly, I am impressed by my own prowess. Now, the problem is I'm hyper independent. And because I'm attracted to power, alphas, and protectors, it's incredibly hard to meet my expectations. Even down to the physicalities, I'm attracted to like quote unquote big people who exude strength without words. People whose presence and influence is felt, not heard. People who are well respected and well known. Those people that walk in a room, all heads turn, everything grows silent. It's a certain true form of eliteness that I have only ever experienced up close once or twice outside of my very own. I once dated someone who had quite a few bodies, and I know that's not supposed to be a selling point, but hear me out. I knew the moment I laid eyes on this person that they were the one calling the shots. And when we met, I was super young and impressionable. I've always been able to separate the soldiers from the generals, but this person emanated a dominance that I had just never seen. I wanted to stay in their intoxicating aura. The way I gravitated toward this motherfucker was straight up delusional. And no matter how many times they denied me, I always went back begging for more. Now, this person wasn't huge. They weren't loud. They didn't make noise. Anywhere they showed up, the sea parted straight down the middle. And they weren't even traditionally attractive. But to me, this person was the sexiest creation walking this planet. They went against the grain. They did everything before it was cool. They were the trend. They were the moment. At our age, the way they cared for their children was something to be admired. They would catch a lick the night before and make it back to walk their kids to the bus stop without fail at the crack of dawn. This person cooked, cleaned, and ironed and would clean your clock with the swiftness. They always smelled like an absolute dream. And because I was so obsessed, the sex was otherworldly. So why would I let that go if it was so great, you say? Because it wasn't. It was awful. And that was one of the many times in my life I wish I could erase. The cyclical breadcrumbing and discarding lasted over 7 years. And the detriment has lasted far longer than that. The disrespect that I accepted from this person was insane. In my mind at the time, it was worth it. If it meant I got to spend 2 weeks out of the year that we got along feeling that immensely potent godly energy exchanging and flowing through me, I realize now in hindsight, demons also have intense power. And that what I was so drawn to was in fact not virtuous in the least, but instead sent straight from the bowels, the deepest intestines of Hades himself. Always remember that Satan doesn't show up in a cape with pointy horns and a tail. They show up as everything that you have ever wanted.